We have a physical quorum and we have two members online, Ms. Kanasha and Ms. Jan Winnie. They call the meeting to order the Strategic Housing Finance Corporation. Do the roll call, please.
President Wilmer Roberts.
Here.
Vice President Lisa Reams. Here. Director Chinasa Echerenwa.
Here.
Director Julio Gonzalez Altamirano.
Here.
Director Keisha Prince. Here. Director Rosa Rios Valdez. Absent. Director Jan Winnie.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Well, thank you. Okay. We're at the point now of the citizens communication. I understand we have a couple people online that may need to leave earlier. So we can hear from them. I think he's getting listening.
This is Heather Way. I don't know the protocol. So is there an order? Do we raise our hands to be put on the list?
I think, Miss,
We have the list.
you have the list. Did you put?
It's Miss Heather Way and then Augusta Czar, who's in the waiting room.
Okay.
I put them on the list.
Yeah, they're on the list. They're just
Okay,
at the bottom.
so I understand your name has been put on the list, so if you could use it, can we do the online folks?
Sure, Heather Way is first.
Great. Okay. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Just briefly, my name is Heather Way. I'm a law professor at University of Texas School of Law. I've been working in the affordable housing field for over 25 years now. And I just wanted to give some brief remarks about the Rosemont project. I just think there's a couple of really important things to highlight and prioritize. And it sounds like there's already been a lot of discussion about these, but I just want to hit upon a couple of points. I think it's extremely important in these days of a mounting affordable housing crisis and precious resources for affordable housing that we really prioritize permanent affordability wherever possible. There's a growing trend towards 99-year restrictions. City of Denver just adopted this for all their projects they invest in. There's many states that require 99-year restrictions, including Massachusetts, Michigan, Vermont, Utah, and many more. And this is a growing important trend. And I think it's an important one to follow because of the precious resources and investments we have and for the long-term security and health of our tenant population. And then second, I think just wherever possible, partnering with mission-driven nonprofits really makes a difference in terms of a lot of different things. One is in terms of tenant outcomes and tenant quality of life. When you're partnering with groups that have that double bottom line, both that commitment to financial stability and a commitment to social goals and having that holistic resident-centered focus. There was an Urban Institute study I just wanted to highlight that compared the outcomes in affordable housing that was owned and managed by for-profits versus nonprofits. And it found significant differences in outcomes with nonprofits scoring much higher on management performance and outcomes such as building conditions and eviction rates. And also then, of course, in terms of long-term affordability, with the for-profits by and large evicting tenants and selling properties off at a huge property when their affordable housing restrictions expire. So just wanted to make some brief remarks to highlight some of the research in that area as well. Thank you.
Who's next?
The base.
Who did you call?
Oh, wait.
A base,
Dar.
a base.
Oh, base. Excuse me.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Are you on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully folks can hear me now. I'm sorry about that. Chair, board members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today on this item. My name is Aves Azhar, and I serve on the board of directors of Housing Works Austin, and I serve as the vice chair of the organization's advocacy committee. You should have already received the statement from the Housing Works board of directors that I had also shared with the county commissioners, and I wanted to read it out today. Housing Works recommends that all efforts be made to preserve the long-term affordability of any existing housing owned by the county or its partners, including ensuring that mission-driven organizations are prioritized in all sales or lease agreements. It is critical to support the needs of the existing tenants while ensuring long-term affordable housing goals are met. So just to let you all know a little bit about Housing Works, we're a 501c3 organization that looks at education, advocacy, and working on policy related to affordable housing. And we've been working in this space in over a decade here in Austin with a very diverse group of boards looking at issues of affordable housing from many different perspectives. One thing that we care about very deeply is also making sure that we have proper property management in all of our affordable housing so the residents are supported in their needs, and we ensure that all management operations are happening in a way that is supportive of that goal. And particularly, we want to make sure that any efforts that are being made around management are looking at what are truly the needs of the tenants and are they supported? Are our tenants particularly looking at the quality of life from a positive perspective? And we hope that these are all things that you can consider as you're making this decision, because from our perspective as an organization, ensuring that any publicly owned property or quasi-publicly owned property, we continue to use it in a way that really supports our tenants and ensures long-term affordability. Thank you all for your consideration of this important matter and your leadership on affordability.
Thank you.
Is it Jeanette Lockman?
She's in the waiting room, I think.
That's my fault. Jeanette Lockman?
Bruce Laredo.
Liz Marino? Miss Liz Marino, if you'd like to speak.
Would you like to ask if there's anyone online who'd like to speak? Several people that we got to show.
Is there anyone else online that needs to speak or would like to speak? We called several people that have signed up.
We go to the list now.
Give them a minute. So you got everybody in off the waiting room? No,
Some of them keep going, but right now.
everyone's in, okay. Well, if there's no one else that wishes to speak, we can go to the list of those that are here, okay?
Ian, speech.
Hi.
Sorry.
I'm here on behalf of also the housing stand in solidarity with all the comments that have been made by all of the speakers, Heather Ray, SSR, the residents at Rosemont. I have nothing further to add other than what I spoke at the Travis County Commissioners meeting last week. I defer to other speakers who may be signed up because I know you're limited on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gabby Garcia.
Do I stay here or?
If you can come a little closer to make sure you're closer to the mic, if you don't mind.
Good morning, my name is Gabby Garcia. I'm an organizer with FOSTA, and I've been working with the neighbors at Rosemont Tenants Association July 2020. Many of you know that the Tenants Association and FOSTA has become a staple of these monthly meetings. We're here just about every month to testify about the conditions and problems at Rosemont, asking this board to help make changes. This sale presents that opportunity. Tenants are united in wanting to save their homes, and their online petition has been signed by over 530 people and demonstrates that the broader community, including community organizations like Austin Justice Coalition, Housing Works, and elected officials and candidates all stand behind the tenant campaign to save Rosemont. For the past month, tenant leaders have worked hard to get this message out, and all of that work leads up to today, when this board will make a decision that will impact both current tenants and future tenants for years to come. Tenants have outlined what's important to them. They've done their own due diligence with prospective buyers. They hosted and interviewed 3 of the interested bidders, and based on those meetings and further research, rated each group. Tenants have also reviewed 3 of the proposals and rated each one based on their demands for restricted covenants on affordability, honoring the tenant protections, rent caps, repairs, relocation, and other specific demands listed on their petition. The association does not have a floor proposal, as they never reached out to tenants indicating a lack of responsiveness to tenant concerns. Tenants even devoted time visiting and door knocking at Ringo Hills and spent time speaking with tenants at the door, where they learned that those tenants are facing many similar problems, repairs, security, issues, management, as the ones that they're dealing with at Rosemont. Tenants don't want a repeat of the situation they have faced with SHFC and Capstone. They need and deserve owners hold you right by them. They need you to choose a buyer who's going to honor their demands, that has experience to tackle the issues at Rosemont, and that will be a good fit in regards to preserving the community that exists at Rosemont currently. Tenants are anxious to know the outcome of the decision, and that's why they're asking you to make the right choice today. They realize that even after today, it's going to take time to complete the sale process, and the transition time is going to be difficult because they are already seeing Capstone further shirking responsibilities, closing the office early, and not carrying out all of their duties. They're also concerned about what will happen if tenant records and leases continue to be lost, and if nothing is done by the current administration to resolve issues like being double billed by the Conservice utility company. These focus bills have been brought up since last December to Capstone, to Patrick Howard, and to this board, and nothing has been resolved. We hope that you'll take action on these items this next month after this meeting, and that the board will ensure that Patrick Howard directs and manages Capstone to fulfill their responsibilities and work to resolve long-standing issues before the sale and transfer of the property. We hope today is the beginning of positive changes at Rosemont, and I'm counting on you to vote to favor. Thank you.
Linda Hernandez.
Good morning, my name is Linda Hernandez. I am a member of Rosemont, Neighbors Rosemont City Community. I am here to speak on behalf of my neighbors. We have all been victimized by SHFC and Capstone. We have put up with eviction rates, homes that were not repaired and make us sick and unsafe, and owners and managers that disrespect and deny what we have gone through. Ever since we found out the property was for sale, Rosemont tenants have come together to ensure that it is sold to good owners who will fix and maintain the property and treat tenants with dignity and respect that we deserve. We all want Rosemont to be affordable so that we can stay there. Tenants have put in a lot of work to make sure that we weren't just sold to the highest bidder. We knocked at every single door at Rosemont getting signatures for our petition. We launched an online petition so that Austin and the wider communities can support our fight to save Rosemont. We collected more than 530 signatures supporting our demand. We also were able to get support from city and county elected officials and candidates who supported our demands and committed to investing in Rosemont so that tenants will not be displaced. We held meetings with 3 of the potential buyers and did our research on each one. We even door knocked at property owned by Hayden Glade. All of this showed us that even though some of the buyers were saying all of the right things, their words did not reflect the experience at their property. We reported everything we learned to general membership as a group, did a report card for each buyer. After we received 3 of the proposals, we used the feedback from the meeting for proposal on the responsibility to the demand. Tenants have asked that our input be part of the final decision, and what is clear from the tenant score is that the best choice for Rosemont is for it to go to a nonprofit foundation community. We feel that they have experience to do things right and keep Rosemont affordable. We have waited a long time for things to get better, and we want to make clear that we do not want the board to postpone the decision. We are ready to move forward. We are counting on this board to make the right choice and to put tenants' lives over profit. Our community is often have shown that they are supporting Save Rosemont. Thank you for your time.
Go don't have anyone else signed up. There may have been someone who's joined online.
Is there anyone else online that wants to speak?
Good morning.
No?
Good morning. My name is David Rojas. I'm just here in support of Rosemont community.
Okay. Any other comments, Mr. Rojas?
I just want to say that I myself have been a victim of poor management, and I want to make sure that the Rosemont community is well represented today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi there, my name's Jeanette Lackman.
Could you repeat your name, please?
Jeanette Lackman, and I can also put in the chat. And I'm just here in solidarity for the residents as well, similar to what David was saying. Housing is a human right, and so we would hope, the community is hoping like for not skyrocket rent and good maintenance, and hoping to preserve a place of living for them. So that's what we're hoping to see in this meeting. So just here in solidarity with them.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kimberly Holiday. I am Pflugerville City Council, but showing up today with my Austin Area Urban League hat on to support the residents of Rosemont. I serve the Unhoused Community Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I also stand in solidarity for the residents of Rosemont.
Anyone else?
Yes. My name is Elizabeth Mueller. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm a professor at the University of Texas, a researcher focused on affordable housing, and have been doing this work for almost 30 years. I wanted to reinforce the things that were said by my colleague Heather Way about the importance of prioritizing long-term affordability because of the extensive research that shows that that's important, and that mission-driven organizations are most likely to uphold that regardless of the restrictions, but that there is a trend now to go to require much longer-term affordability. Also, there is emerging research on the tensions between the goals of investor owners or investor funds that are increasingly trying to purchase affordable housing and tenant outcomes. So I think you should keep that in mind. They are less likely to care about long-term affordability. They need to meet investor goals, and that might work against keeping rents affordable. And there's also research showing that there are tensions between their goals and adequate maintenance, which we know is a really critical issue in this case. So I support, what the previous speakers have said, and I'm here to support the tenants as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Daniela Silva. I am also here in solidarity with the tenants, and to echo what previous speakers have shared, that it is incredibly important we make whatever effort possible to ensure that we maintain long-term affordable housing, especially in these areas where people have been actively displaced for so long. And the fact of the matter is, if this is not taken over by a mission-driven organization or nonprofit, it will certainly at some point be flipped, and the tenants will be displaced and be forced to move elsewhere. So I'm urging you all to please make this housing complex a place where people who are currently living there can stay, and where it can even possibly even be a place for right of return for folks who had been displaced in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hello. Hi, my name is Alejandra Muñiz. I have an affiliation with BASTA as well, and I stand in solidarity with the tenants of Rosemont as well. Housing, like has been said before, is a human right, and as we go into these harsh winter months, it is crucial for tenants to have a healthy housing situation, and it is important for us in the Austin area to prioritize that, because as we see rents rising more and more in our community, tenants are getting pushed further and further out. So tenants deserve to have a situation that is healthy, safe, and affordable. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I just like to point out that council member like Sonia would ask us from Mr. Davis operating in such a service.
Okay. Did he want to speak? Did you sign up?
Here to support Rosemont. I don't want to take over the show, but my name is Jose Velasquez, council member elect for District 3, and I'm here in support of Rosemont.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? If not, we will close the citizen communication portion and go to item number 3. What's first on the agenda? You want to do the presentation or what's your?
Sure.
Okay. This is the resolution number SHFC 2022-10. Approve the selection of the successful respondents related to the RFP for the deposition of Rosemont at Oak Valley. Item A.
Okay. How would you like me to do it? For me to summarize it, would you like me to go there?
What's your pleasure there?
I will do the summary. I can go right to the summary sheet, which obviously gives the indication of sort of the staff. Someone else?
I don't think she's gonna speak, but she's.
There's someone needing to get into it.
Okay.
Table. So we'll pull up the spreadsheet. The staff report just summarizes. Okay, let's pull that down. Asked to summarize the 4 response. So let me just back up. We received 4 responses on the by the deadline. We did subsequently ask for some clarification from all of the respondents on certain things that weren't obviously clear to us, and so we initially put up the responses, and then realizing that there was some clarification that needed to be had, and if I had questions, maybe you all would have the same. So we did take that down and then put up the responses that needed clarification subsequently on Boardable. But staff was asked to summarize those responses based on the agreed upon criteria. Again, obviously, you all reserve the right to modify and amend those, but this was staff's analysis based on our what we understand would be the respective goals of the other organizations. So I'm just going to go straight to the scoring. You know what? Apologize. What I'm going to do is show you the criteria first, so you can see the criteria, and then we'll go back to this one. Okay. Okay, so there was a possible 110 points, 100 points, and then 10 points bonus. So price was listed as 10 points. Obviously, there was a minimum price that was established by the board, and and that was 36 million for those in the audience. They were all met by all of the respondents. Funding availability, proof of the ability to fund your bid was identified as 5 points. And then there's permanent affordability plan, which obviously has 3 components. of which the priority was placed on the restricted covenant, which is 25 points. The desire for rates to not increase rate of 3% was 8, and then obviously increase it, having rents charged during location, assuming that when that happens. And then if you were able to apply that to all 280 units, then you would get at least half of the amount that you would get for the covenant, which is going. Tenant protection is the next, which had a total of 20 points allowed. So essentially, as you can see there was those things that we actually agreed to. And when you read the RHDA lease addendum, you realize that some of those components are inherent within the lease addendum. So some of them sort of kind of restated in terms of the way it was outlined. But the tenant protections per the RHDA lease addendum. And then there was the testing of mold, which was notified. Development experience was shown as 10 points. Obviously, years of experience in affordable housing and specifically those to Travis County and or their experience in rehab beyond 20 units. Property management was next. As outlined there, some track record with property management, so as far as satisfaction and the like. And then supportive services. And this was one of those all or nothing stores. So it talks about services on both on-site and off-site. And again, some demonstration that they've had high marks or at least some positive feedback as it relates to the tenant experience. And then lastly, there was the discretionary bonus points that would be allowed to be given for what would be seen as an exceptional item contained within those that were just aforementioned. So that gives us a total of 110 points available for such. Sure, and then there was the pass-fail options, two criteria. One was, I'm sorry, tenant responsiveness, and I'm sorry for it being a little small here, but essentially meeting the criteria for affordability, rehabilitation, the relocation of residents, talked about the displacement of residents, and the like. So essentially, that was all or nothing in terms of the responsiveness of the two-part evaluation tool. In our view, all of the individuals met the responsiveness score based on my either conversation for clarity or what was contained within the scope of what was written, but our feeling was that they all met the responsibility. Okay, so now we will go back to the score.
Any questions with regards to?
Sorry, I should have asked this question. Okay, all right, and this is okay. Okay, so we're going to go through each. Again, this is staff's analysis of such. As you can see, the price, they all met the minimum price, so they all received the 10 points for such. Funding availability, we do believe this. We did get clarification from a couple just because we weren't clear on some of the ways some of the commitment letters were written. However, at the end of the day, we believe that they all met the requirement for funding availability, which is 5 points. And we do have some notes in there as it relates to comments regarding such, but essentially our analysis is that they all met that requirement. Okay. Similarly, a permanent affordability plan. There was one, I think there was mission that wasn't clear in terms of where we would find a 99-year affordability, and it wasn't. And they failed to do such and provided details regarding the intention to do such, but the way to be honest, the way the wording was, the way it was worded, it wasn't clear that that was the indication. But essentially what they were saying is that those things that were required as of the RFP, they were going to meet. So we did ask them to make it clear. So they did provide me an email clarifying that that is their intention to meet the 99-year restricted covenant. So we did eventually give them 25 points after we received that clarification. We know this is important. So we continue on. Similarly, they all, most really, honestly, just responded back to what was said in the RFP, but we do believe that they all met this requirement to not increase rents more than 3%. Next slide. And also with the issue about increasing rent during the rehabilitation. Tenant protections, similarly, everyone either made reference specifically to the RSD, at least did them, or they articulated maybe specific components of such. Some did more, provided more elaborate detail on how they were addressing those, but essentially they all committed to addressing the least of the least addendum, but those tenant protections outlined within the RFP. In addition to the sub criteria that the no. Okay. Development experience, we believe that they all had sufficient development experience either in Travis County doing more than 20 units of rehab or the years of experience. So we gave them all full count points for such. And you can see the numbers where we said what they thought we thought they met. Okay. Property management. Similarly, I know this is somewhat may have some more conversation about. So in some cases, folks provided information about surveys. I mean, I do believe, Brian, in hindsight, we probably maybe could have made it more specific about how we were going to measure that per se. But in our view, I mean, everyone met the property management in terms of general positive feedback regarding such. I mean, obviously there were in some cases more that were more specific and provided more evidence, but it was hard to rule out folks that, there was nothing to suggest otherwise. So we did give them the full amount of points for property. But again, I think hopefully we won't be doing this again, but if in fact we do, we might be more specific about how we might measure that as far as property management. So given the importance of it, and probably, surveys probably are the best indication of that because people don't typically respond, in surveys,
Was there a general commitment then for getting rid of Capstone? Is what I think.
Well,
of the residents and outside community.
Sure, I'm just saying in general in terms of how you measure the relative worth or the demonstration of good property management and that sort of thing is, and that's a difficult thing, obviously, because it's, it's its own feedback, and sometimes the only feedback we typically get is negative. So, as it relates to these things. So I'm just saying, but we did feel like, for what it's worth, we thought that they all had experience in property management, at least demonstrated some positive aspect related to their property management. Again, that's something we all discussed in great detail.
Okay, the biggest thing I think is the commitment to make the change.
Well, I mean, this one didn't speak to that. I mean, we were just kind of evaluating how well they did in other properties and such, that sort of thing. But yeah, we felt like there was again, this is probably something we'll discuss further, but from our perspective, we felt like they probably met the requirements generally for property management, given the tool we were using.
Or nobody got an 8, nobody got a 9, like there's some of the stuff that was lacking on.
they got 4 points.
Well, so we don't, I mean, what I'm saying is based on what our knowledge about what people submitted, we would, unless we went and researched each of the developments and did a global, search and figure out where, where they may have fallen short, we wouldn't, the information wouldn't give you any indication of that. And then there's those that had various degrees of experience over a vast number of years versus those that maybe just starting out in the business. So so that's what I'm saying. You all will decide yourselves how that relates. But I'm saying that in the future, we might want to qualify how we would measure the property management because it was sort of a broad brush in terms of how we were looking at that. Just from the staff perspective. So,
any other questions?
all right, next slide. Okay, supportive services, and as you can see, the first one we showed was capital A housing, and we tried to make notes about this because we obviously know that these things are important. We showed capital A as having either 0 or 10, and we wanted to show that because we knew that there was a slight bit of a delay with respect to being able to be fully operational related to supportive services. So we showed either the max or you wouldn't give them points depending on how you felt about the time frame related to the fully executing supportive services. So we showed either 0 or 10. But certainly their program met all the requirements. It's just a matter of when that starts. So we wanted to show that because we're trying to be as transparent as we can about giving you all feedback because we know you're going to have discussion about that. Foundation communities had a very robust supportive services. In fact, they have their full service provider. So most of that work's done in-house, although they do have outside providers and such. Kane Glade did mention a specific amount related to supportive services. In addition to they were talking about partner with individuals locally, which we thought obviously was probably meet the requirement related to such. And similarly, Mission talked about a CHR, which is a San Antonio-based affordable housing provider, including in addition to Big Austin, who is local, who would provide more like job training and the like, so the accommodation, such. So we obviously did give all points in those cases. Okay, and then so bonus points. So I'm going to make note about something about capital A. We did not give them points for bonus points specifically based on the criteria established. Although I would want to mention that their goal about looking at housing and maximizing the use of the site, which is not necessarily what the criteria we thought was interesting. I mean, was worthy of note. They're talking about looking at workforce housing in addition to maintain a number of affordable units. It didn't find its way into giving bonus points only because you didn't establish those criteria, but I do think from my perspective, obviously it's a good use of the land, thinking about the ability to have greater density and to be able to provide greater housing for the city of Austin and the region if that were to move forward. But we didn't get bonus points for that matter, only because it wasn't so much established as far as criteria for the movement. Foundation communities, we gave 5 additional points for their in-house and supportive services, which we thought was very integrated and we thought was demonstrated something that folks are very much interested in. Hayden Glade, we did give them 3 points because they were looking at income tiering if they were to use a PFC structure, which, we all know that 30% AMI units are very difficult to achieve. Anybody who does affordable housing. So we did give a few points for that. And they did identify an amount for supportive services. So we did show 4 points only because we felt like they partnered with an individual group and they also identified a funding amount that was committed to supportive services. So we showed 7 points there. And then Mission, Just based on price, that we gave them 5 points for that. So, for that. So next slide, please. So again, we all felt like they met the tenant responsibility scores, obviously based on what we said previously about, those other criteria. Next slide. This slide was okay, so this is what our scoring breakout is. We initially thought we would be identifying 2 individuals. We felt like there was some subjectivity in the scoring and that this would at least prompt some discussion, provide you some ability to have an informed discussion about some of the things that we kind of identified as those that may warrant more discussion. But this is generally what we came up with is the score.
Any questions? Anybody, what about online? Any one of the board members?
Oh, do we,
Board members, do you have any questions? Those that are online?
Hi, this is Jane. Thank you, Wilmer. I have to say some of the audio in the room is garbled. It came through loud and clear for everybody online, but there may be something with your mics in the room that are slightly garbled. But I agree with Patrick that there is definitely, all of us can admit to some subjectivity when we look at these criteria and how we apply them. And of course, we couldn't have known about the additional clarifications that were obtained since the written bids. But I definitely come up scoring a little differently, but I think for now, I've got all the information I need for our further discussion. So it was, Patrick, it may be your mic or wherever you are in relation to the mic that's a little distorted. I'm not sure what's going on.
Anyone else? Nasha? Okay, hearing none.
This is just a brief discussion and people who just wanted to put on the record.
Yeah.
On this item?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. First, Patrick and other staff might have helped on this. I thought you did excellent work in trying to very quickly and nimbly deal with what was a scoring approach, both with having 2 tiers, asking on scoring, doing it quickly, having to deal with the subjectivity of every member of the board and the preferences that we have a sense of each have. So thank you for doing that. And I really appreciate in particular that you took the time to detail each sub-criteria and then you've explained reasoning here. I think it's very reasonable. And I think one of the challenges we will have in executive session review decision is a lot of different reasonable perspectives trying to be able to talk about. I did want to make 2 things for the record, and now I'm looking at you because I knew you're going to prepare minutes, and so this is important. So one is the preliminary scoring adjustments I put on the message board this morning. I'm sorry I didn't.
no, we could pull that up.
If you want to pull it up, that'd be great. I also distributed some physical copies, sure. And I only wanted to introduce them for the minutes as to indicate sort of the deliberation that we're having, because we're not going to be able to talk about some of the more sensitive aspects. Long story short, I was a little bit less permissive with the bonuses and a little bit tighter on a few items. So my scoring changed to capital A 100 points, donation community 100 points, skating play 90.
That's an executive session. Knows that how you score the individual.
I'm comfortable putting it in the public realm as it's not privileged information, because I'm going to discuss it, the changes and things. And thank you so much for the clarification on mission, because obviously then we change my scoring and that then we've seen some helpful. Also, for the purposes of the minutes, it would be great to introduce the
Excuse
criteria.
me, Julio, can you speak a little slower and a little louder?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Purposes of the minutes, I just wanted to make sure that we introduce the tenants criteria that they gave us. And I think one of the big changes, both from the staff and what I just discussed, which I'm making note of, is that while they passed foundation and capital A, they failed grading grade, and obviously we're not able to score mission. And so I'm making note of that, those are the purposes of the minutes and for our discussion in public, so that the public is aware that we have received and processed their information. Other than that, I thought like I said, it was really great that you were able to do so much so quickly, score so reasonably, and give us a clear departure for this public part of the deliberation, and now we will be more detailed and complicated. Did anybody else have anything else they want to add in the public portion for the public or the staff?
No one else have any questions? Okay. Hearing none, then we will entertain a motion to go into executive session. We have a motion from Ms. Greens. Is there a second? And second by Ms. Prince. All those in favor?
Aye.
What about Tisha online? They vote? Jan and Nasa, would y'all vote for going to executive session?
Yes, sir. I vote aye. This is Jan.
Okay, Nasa?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll any opposed, none opposed, so we'll go into executive session. Have you made arrangements for that?
Yes, we're gonna be in the small conference room, and you all can follow me there.
Do you have roll call, please?
President. Director Chinasa at Terenwa.
Here.
She said here. She said here.
Director Julio Gonzalez
Here.
at Zamorano. Director Keisha Prince. Here. Director Rosa Rios Valdez. Director Jan Wenning.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. We're called, the meeting has come out of recess, and we had the deliberation in the executive session. We're up to item 4 is we entertain a motion to pass SSFC 2022-10. Is there a motion?
Sorry, sir, it's 3. You're back at 3, item 3.
Okay, back at item 3. I'm
Right,
sorry.
you're still on
Item 3. So is there a motion? Could you state the motion to pass the resolution and who the board is selected in the motion?
I'd like to have a motion that we chose Foundation Communities to be our top choice. I hope that works out with everybody.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
roll call.
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
President Wilma Roberts.
I abstain.
Vice President Lisa Reed.
Yeah.
Director Chinasa at Terenwa.
Aye.
Director Julio Gonzalez.
What did you
Zamorano.
say? Sorry.
She said,
Yay.
sorry. Director Keisha Prince. Director Jan Wenning.
Yeah.
Did you vote yes or no?
She didn't.
She
She voted yes.
Okay, all right. So the motion passed. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think at this time would be appropriate to thank all of the people that were involved in this process. It was definitely challenging and difficult at times. It was also a very hard decision. We had 2 proposals that we really liked. And hopefully we will get to see some of the participants in the bidding process again, since there were some really excellent options that we could not select. I also particularly want to thank our tenant representatives. This has been quite an adventure. This past year, it at times I think has been difficult and incredibly time consuming and not necessarily always redeeming. And so while this is not the end, it is sort of the start of the beginning of potentially the end. I think it is a real step progress, a step forward and real progress today. And I'm really happy relative to where we were at the start of October and the potential of this building and this property and the lives of the people that were in it. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for facilitating a process that has not always been easy, but I think it's gotten us to the right conclusion.
Thank you all. And item 4 is any new and unfinished business, and basically there is an issue of a source of unfunding, so we're going to have to deal with that in some way or another. And Miss Lisa, you and I need to get together with Mr. Howard and we'll come up with one of my recommendations is that we get the entire board to submit the letter to the commissioners for soliciting card. Okay. There's a large gap that has to be covered. And I'm a finance person, so that's what it's all about. But we thank you for that. We're
finished with the executive session. Next item on the agenda is are we ready to adjourn? Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Enjoy your holiday.